In the next decade, millions of manufacturing jobs will open up in the U.S. as workers retire. Meanwhile, the sector is also supposed to add more jobs with help from federal subsidies. But by some current estimates, only half of those jobs will be filled. So where will the workers needed come from? Well, how about some two-year colleges like Cincinnati State? Our economics correspondent Paul Salmon paid a visit in search of hope for the future.
It had to have 3 wheels. It had to be a gas motor, and it has to have a wheelie bar because these things do wheelies.
We used to say when I was a kid, cool as a moose.
Not exactly your grandparents' shop class here at Cincinnati State Technical and Community College.
The students have 2 semesters to design and build this. Semester 1, they design everything you're sitting on.
Zane Decker now runs part of the program he himself recently graduated from. Teaching skills much in demand these days.
And let's go ahead and look at the simulation and see how it looks.
Schools like Cincinnati State are key training grounds to prepare students for manufacturing jobs for which there just aren't enough workers these days, like a GE Aviation, a partner to this program. The job gap is especially important here in Ohio, America's 3rd most manufacturing-heavy state.
Demand is just skyrocketing for this. And if you went back 20 years ago, there wasn't as much demand as there is today.
That tool right there, it's called an 1/8-inch ball mill.
Demand for the likes of 20-year-old Andrew Lakes.
And it turns that software into G-code. And this is what G-code is right now. And it's reading all those lines of code, and that line of code tells us what that tool is going to do.
Which is?
I'm building a pocket knife handle.
A pocket knife handle?
Yes, as you can see right here, I have a few prototypes. Right now I'm working on my finishing product.
So this is your finger goes there? Is
Yep.
that? His first foray, a flop.
Here you can see I went a little too deep.
Right
Ended up
over
breaking
there,
a tool.
You broke a tool?
Yeah, I broke the tool.
Is that humiliating?
Yeah, a
Or?
little bit, but you learn from your mistakes and you learn to move on and what to do better next time.
Rather more challenging, a working race buggy. This is last year's model.
Next year's car, which is what I'm working on and is what I'm designing, is going to be so small that it's going to be able to fit inside of this car.
Amy Gutman Fuentes, also a student here.
And you're going to build the whole thing?
Yep.
And then what do you do with it?
Then we'll race it.
In the spring at college Baja competitions like this one.
And how do you expect to do with one of these things in the spring?
I think we're going to crush it because we're one of 2 or 3 community colleges that compete alongside, these major universities with huge budgets, and we've done pretty well. So I think this new car is going to be like the best.
Baja racers and knife handles are just a few lures for students to attend this program and acquire skills for America's supposed manufacturing renaissance.
We're going to launch a historic buildup of American manufacturing muscle and might.
But there's a big problem.
What we hear, what we read, is that there's a real shortage of people going into manufacturing while lots of people are retiring from manufacturing.
Yeah.
Not the case?
It's absolutely the case. We have all these people retiring that have the skills. We've got this younger generation that there's a big skills gap where we need to get this younger generation to replace these people who are retiring.
Where better to get the skill than at America's community colleges, where nearly 9 million students pay a tiny fraction of the cost of a 4-year degree.
And how much does it cost to be here?
For me, it costs about $3 grand a semester.
For a job that pays?
After I graduate, I'm expected to make about 26 to 27 on the hour.
So $26, $27 an hour, $50,000, $60,000 a year, right?
Roughly, yes.
And for around here, that's good money?
Yes, especially for someone my age.
Especially for starting pay in Ohio.
We really emphasize preparing students for the workforce of the future because our job is to meet the needs of the local economy.
Monica Posey, president of Cincinnati State.
85 to 90% of our students stay in this area and work. And we have great partnership with employers, and they tell us what they need, what we should be investing in, what we should do.
But, and here's the crux of this story, Zane Decker's classes are undersubscribed. Cutting-edge skills, good jobs, lack of workers nationwide, and yet not enough young people in the pipeline.
How many of you think that people like yourselves aren't here because manufacturing is uncool. Uncool. No? Because it's too hard. Really, almost everybody. Because they just don't know about it. That too.
I put the same questions to the teacher, Zane Decker.
We've got to work on changing and really having people realize that if you look around the shop, it's not all that dirty, right? People are out there challenging themselves. They're spending half their time on the computer, half their time on their shop floor. I think if we can show young people that this is a viable career and the training is available for it, we can fill that gap.
But we're nowhere near there yet, right?
Yeah, we're not there yet. I think a lot of it is just the stigma around this field and getting people to realize that it's a much nicer job than it used to be 50 years ago.
And its president, Monica Posey, says Cincinnati State gets federal and state funding to do so.
We're recruiting and we're doing everything we can to invest in it, but we also know that we need to recast manufacturing in terms of student and families, their attitude about the industry.
But still not an easy sell, even with incentives like this one, which literally anybody can drive. And if you spend 4 semesters here while prepping to propel America's proposed manufacturing future, you can even build. For the PBS NewsHour, Paul Salmon, risking my neck to amuse you in Cincinnati, Ohio.